So we are here for week 15, and this is going to be a fun one. It's definitely, when I tell you what it is, which is going to be just in a second or two, you're going to probably laugh and think, wow, okay, that's a new direction. So we're starting our third set of 7, and this week 15 is called Atmospheric Influences. Yes, the weather. We will talk a little bit about the weather. I find that the weather can be a great influencer on what I create in the studio. The seasons definitely will influence the techniques I lean toward. For instance, during the winter months, I tend to create encaustic paintings. In the spring, I lean more towards loose flowing paints and collecting from nature on long walks. I paint patterns influenced by my collection of rocks and feathers and wasp hives and found materials, metals, and things like that. Rusted, big on rusted items because I love to, echo stain with plants and rusted bits and all that good stuff. So I'm definitely collecting found metals. And with the fall months, I find my color palette begins to become more intense and earthy. Really warm, deep, earthy kind of tones. Take a look at your seasonal creating patterns and ask yourself some of the same questions that I've just shared with you in my own process. I found that these general patterns do not limit me since I constantly create outside of my seasonal tendencies. However, knowing this about myself helps me as boredom creeps up and I'm searching for new inspiration. I look to the season and check in with myself to see if pulling out a new technique will help. The other thing that happens a lot with seasonal creating is that something that you may not think about, which is like if you're, sorry, my puppy's out there barking, hadn't barked all day, and then I go to do this video, and of course he does anyway. The other thing that can happen is like when you are using, you might have been working on a project for a while and you're moving from, let's say, winter into the spring, and you kind of lose interest in the project and you've been working on it for a while, you're almost done, but you just can't seem to get any inspiration, or you just seem to be out of sync with what you were creating before. A lot of times that happens because the seasons are changing. You now have new influences. However, you're not you haven't really recognized that about yourself. So you can't figure out why am I out of sync with this piece of art? Sometimes it does have to do with those kind of changes. I also find that rainy days, that can, for some of that's really comfortable and cozy, and we want to be in our studios. And others is I don't really, I'm not crazy about the thunder that comes with the light, or the lightning that comes with the rain. And so I just want to do something different. I'm a little uneasy, So all these things could affect us, but we don't always necessarily tie it in to these other external influences. So I just say, let's take a look at that this week. Let's look at all the positives that come with weather influences, and look around you now with us moving into the spring. What's blooming in your area? Is your color palette changing? Are you wanting to paint or focus on different types of images over what you had been doing for the last couple of months? Just have fun with it. And this is a good time, even in the journal, maybe just to not only do your visual journaling, but maybe do a little writing, just about some of those feelings that come up around that. But I have found that once I really discovered how the weather affects me and my art, it allows me to go in the studio and not push myself or not sort of beat myself up because I'm not getting it. I'm not in sync with the work I had been doing and what have you. Sometimes it does have to do with something as simple as that, and just kind of stepping back, resetting, and maybe if you're on a project that has a deadline or something you want to get done, just give yourself that opportunity to do something different that will allow you to kind of get out the feelings that are coming up with the new colors or the new shapes or the new images. Have a session or two where you get that out and then come back to that project. I've done that as well, and that really helps me to get those inspirational feelings out And at the same time, then I can come back and finish the project I've been working on. So anyway, I'll do a flip too. This is last week's pages. A lot of you like seeing the flip, so I'll try to do that at the beginning of the video so you can see what I did with last week's pages. So here, did a pocket and a writing spot that I used a stained receipt form. I like kind of creating things that you can write and journal and put your thoughts on, but also it doesn't look like it's that. So, you know, this more artsy. This is just a collage. And these both are collages as well. I didn't put pockets or pages on them. I just really played with the images, some of my papers, and just kind of mirroring and collaging. And of course, this is the one we did together. So that's last week's in my my journal. And now let's come down to the table and get to working on this week's project. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So yes, atmospheric influences, the weather. That's a really good one. You'd be surprised. We spend some time with it this week. You'll have a lot of, you know, new discoveries, I believe, with that. All right, see you in a minute. So we are on the table this week, week 15. It's coming along. I'm like really excited, you probably can tell, because I just love a good project. So we're moving into the next 7 weeks, like I said, is more esoteric. So atmospheric influences. Yeah, you know, one of the things that I found, like a lot of the prompts that I'm doing over the 52 weeks are things that I've discovered over years and years and years of journaling, doing my art, seeing the things that I was reacting to or that seemed to come up for me. So a lot of these journal prompts are actually things that I really noticed was affecting my work. And until I actually keyed in on it, I didn't even really think about how my art was being affected by it. So like, if you love rain, then being in your studio on a rainy day when it's raining, like that could be where you do your best work, you're most inspired. But if you don't like rain, or if it's thunderstorms, you like rain, but it started thundering, you're like, oh my God, I just want to go curl up on the sofa and veg out because I don't really like thunder or lightning. Then you're not going to do well in your studio that day. But you may not know that. You might just get frustrated with yourself, like, I really want to work on this project, but why am I not focusing? So like atmospheric influences, atmosphere really does influence us. So we're a part of the larger cosmology, right? So it's something to think about, like right now, like depending on what season you're in, we're going from winter into spring. We're in different geographic areas. How is that influencing you? And so atmosphere also has to do with when we travel, like we travel to places that we find more inspirational. So maybe when you're traveling, you would maybe do your best art, but you don't think about taking your art with you when you travel. So like putting together a nice little travel pack, it's always on the ready, which is what I keep. I keep my art materials and stuff sort of separate from my travel stuff. And so like I can always just throw them in my suitcase and I'm ready to go. So this is a good one. So we're going to take the next 7 weeks, we're dealing with more esoteric things, and we're going to actually put them into a project. So I'm stepping the game up a little bit. So part of it is that you'll be working in your journals, but at the same time, for those of you who like, you get your journals done and like you're doing other things during the week, or you may want to like, well, I wonder what else I could be doing around this prompt. We'll start working some of these projects in that will allow you to start using the things that you've been putting in your journal along with doing something else. In this case, I thought we would do the junk journal because so many of us have seen it. You've seen enough of it. You probably have a lot of ideas around it, but like it's junk journal Robin style, because a lot of you were commenting last week on how much you really like the idea of how I'm doing this type of book, because it's all about our art. It's all about the art. And so a lot of my pages and stuff and the techniques I do are around that. So we're going to do some mask making sessions. I think Shabby Dabby Doodah. I like her. But I remember when she first started doing the mask making sessions, and I think they're brilliant. Like you can just get a lot of stuff made and then it's ready for you to, when you start doing your journals. I thought we could do some of that. That would be fun over the next couple of weeks. And then into next month, we'll actually start working on like a small sort of junk journal style to go along with the work that we're doing in the journal. So that kind of gives you an opportunity to push and play between your journal or another project, and maybe you decide you won't do the project, you just maybe do some of the mask making for the fun of it. You can have at it any way that you want. I just thought I would just step up our game a little bit and start moving some of these ideas into projects. But our main focus is getting 7 days in our journal. So this is from last week. Thought I would do a quick flip because you guys said you like to flip. And so these I flesh out over with my patrons. I have like a good hour-long session once a week. And I flush a lot of my pages out and you show them different techniques and we talk and, you know, all of that. So this is from last week session, just so you guys would see. So what I'm thinking to do today is work with some junk, I don't really get a lot of junk mail, but the stuff I do get, I like these big window envelopes. And I like window envelopes a lot. So I save these. So I've saved some of them, the different ones, and I'm going to show you how I work with them. And even this is a large one from that you could actually fold in half and use as a page. And so when we go to do our journals, we can actually put some of these in as pages. I like them. So any of these big ones the stuff may come in. A lot of times insurance comes in it. My property statements and insurance come in these kind of big ones. So yeah, but we're going to work with some of these. Oh, and bags. Like this is a bag that I got this week. I really liked it. It's kind of waxed. But these make good pages in your junk journals for us to work in with our other pages and also to collage on. So I'm just kind of giving you some ideas of some things you can start collecting. But today we're going to work on these. And we're going to do both ways. I'm going to work in my journal, this style. And we're going to also mass make some of these. So let me get started because I can run out of time quickly, run out of my mouth. Okay, so I'm going to work with this page. And I think I'm going to work with this page here. And these are out of the April printables. Okay. So this is going to be a combination of putting things in our journal and a bit of mask making. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to get these to work together. The thing I do like about the mask making is literally you could sit down and look at a movie, listen to a podcast. I love podcasts. I'm big on podcasts and documentaries. I love documentaries like on history and stuff like that. And so I'll sit down in the evening when I want my hands to be busy, but I don't really want to think real hard about any of it. And I'll do these kind of projects. I'll do like mask making stuff where I'm just putting stuff together so that my books and my journals and stuff that I make, like I'll have a lot of stuff ready just to, you know, put in and just work with the ideas. So mostly I work a lot more with envelopes. And you saw in one of these weeks we worked with the envelopes. Didn't we work with one where I made it a flip? I thought I made one of these a flip. Didn't I make something a flip? Oh, I did it on Patreon in another journal. Yeah, but I work a lot with envelopes too, so I like them. I think they make really cool pages in journals and flip outs and stuff like that. Okay, so we're going to get this in here. So I'm going to use this side. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll use this side because this other side I'll use for... Okay. Alrighty, so that'll go there. And let's do a similar thing use this side. Because these pieces we're also going to use to collage on our... So let's get these down so that they're drying. And this is just going to be the foundation. You can make it a little bit more complex, but since I want to show you guys both things in this one video, I'm going to make the pages not as complex. Because you've done enough of that. And even last week, like I could take what we've done last week and then build. Okay, I'm back. My battery ran out. So I think I was mid-sentence saying that I want to focus more on showing you how to do some of these envelope things. So I'm going to make the pages more simple. But any of the pages we've made over the last 14 weeks, any of those could be used as journal pages or concepts for inside of your book. And I'm not going to call it a junk journal. We're going to call it an artist book, because that's what it is. This book is art. I'm big on the idea of book is art. And we may be using the idea of pieces that we could be using good jelly prints that we like. We can use reproductions of things. We could use vintage book pages, vintage office ephemera. I'm big on using that. Like, that's what this stuff is. So we're going to really make book as art. That's what it's going to be. That's what we're going to call it. But we're going to use a lot of the folds and tucks and ideas of that genre, which has been around since the early 80s, when a lot of this stuff got revitalized by artists. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. An artist book. How's that? From start to finish. And we're going to do simple. We're going to do a simple structure, basically a pamphlet structure, because I want to put the focus in the collaging and you guys working to get a nice, fun structure, not so much into, the making it. So that's going to stay simple. And just so you know, I noticed some of you have begun to join me over on Patreon. Of course, you don't have to, but just so you know, because sometimes I get questions on like, well, what do I do over there that's different and all that. One thing for sure is that I go, I'm doing more of what you see me do here on YouTube. So I'm doing more of that, just a deeper dive with how I'm doing it, different techniques in that particular week that I may be using in my journal. So at the $10 level, I only have two levels, 10 and 25. And I do have a $100 level for people who really want to be a patron. I mean, of course, they're doing the work too, but that are helping support my book projects, which I have several book projects going, and I have 2 people who work with me, and I do pay them to help me because it's a lot of writing, there's a lot of editing. Oh my God, there's formatting, there's all kind of stuff when it comes to books. Even the artist book, the altered book that I'm putting in as a limited edition book that you guys have said that you wanted, me to keep you abreast of, and that's going to be coming up soon. At the point of working with the publisher, so I'll be letting you know soon, and I'm gonna do it as a pre-order because I want to make sure that everybody who wants it can get in on it. But it's expensive, so we'll do a pre-order, and then that way I can pay for everything up front, and then I'm assign and number them all. Because once I do it, I'm not going to, that's going to be the end of it in that series like that. That way I feel like it keeps it special for everyone, but I'll give everybody enough time to find out about it and respond. But probably what I'll do is just put up a separate video just about the altered book project pre-sale. So that way, if you're interested, just look for that video. It'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks, and I'll be telling you about it on Saturdays as well. But so you don't miss it, I'll just do it as a separate video. It'll be the Ultra Book pre-sale. I'll basically it'll be a short video. I'll just basically tell you all the, you know, the ins and outs about it all. And then that way you can follow the links and the whole pre-sale. And then when they come to me, I'm going to sign them. I'm going to number them. And so I'm going to number them in the order that people sign up. So the sooner you sign up, you'll get this, you know, you'll get a lower number. So like 1 of 1 is always, you know, when you think about collectibles, it's 1 of 1 to whatever the top number is. But all of them are cool because they're all numbered. And sometimes that matters to people when they collect. They like to have the lower numbers, and other people, they don't really care just as long as they got it. They're like, okay, good, I got it. It doesn't matter what number it is. So whatever your preference is, you'll be able to respond accordingly. So yeah, those will be coming up soon. Just trying to get all of it ironed out. So I'm just going to trim this. I'm gonna let it dry. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about that. That's not getting in the way of anything, Robin. Okay, so now we have 2 nice pages ready to go. So now we're gonna put those to the side, and we're gonna start working on the envelopes. So one of the things I want to do is I want to turn this one into, this is going to be a pocket. So so anyhow, so that's what the $100 novel is, because those patrons really, really do help me pay, honestly, they pay the salaries of the people that I have helping me, my 2 wonderful, wonderful creators themselves, who are really good writers. Both of them have published works, which is nice. So I feel like I've got good experience. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to be cutting this off. So this one I'm going to cut off directly. This edge I'll tear because it's already folded. That way I get a good tear. So this right here is going to definitely create 2 items. One is going to be a pocket. So I'm just going to cut this edge off from where I opened the envelope and it, you know, tore. So I like making these pockets because, see, this will be, so let's say on this page, once we finish it up, see how cool that would be. And then it becomes a tuck spot this way, or we can go that way. We'll decide which way we're going to go with it. But so this is one way to get like a neat place for images and other things in your journal. So I'm going to take, I have a whole box of scrappy pieces. So I'm going to use some of these scrappy pieces, and I'm also going to use, like, this is some of the stuff from last week. These are some of my other scraps. So I like to use these up. So any of the scraps that you have left over, little edges and stuff from the printables and things like that can be used. And we'll be using these big pieces as well. But for something like this, we don't really need it that big. So just want to see. Okay. I'm just looking for some different tones here. Figure I want something a little more, oh, this will be perfect. So like this gray tone. That's kind of thick though, hold up. Just a minute, let me see what I can find. Oh, this is good. Some of that writing, and we can use some line paper. I'm just grabbing stuff. This is out of this box of all kind of scraps. So what I like to do is I'm going to kind of put this around 4 sides. So let's just get our glue. And let's just, I'll just glue right up to the window. So my thing is to try to do this as easy as possible without a whole lot of tearing and cutting. So I do that side there like that, flip it, and glue this up. I just kind of over glue a little bit. So you could make a ton of these. And then let's just get, hold up. Do that and then just kind of rip it. Okay. Alrighty, so let's just turn it over so we can trim that off. Okay. And I like to kind of keep on checking against what I'm going to be doing it on, like right there. That might be a little more bolder than what I want. Let me see. Kind of want, I sort of like how neutral this is. So kind of keep in mind, like when you're doing it specifically for, this will be good. When you're doing it specifically for a particular page, you can kind of play with, you know, play with your scraps against it so you can kind of get the best one. So here, let me just get this off. So here I'm going to get a little extra glue. I'm just getting a little extra glue over, you know, where there's a little rip there. I'm going to get a little glue underneath there. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm going to take this piece and just just going to get like a little ripped edge on it. So I'll do it like that. Oops. Kind of like crowded in on myself, aren't I? Okay, righty. So we'll do that like that. And then just one more yummy piece across the top. Let me get this, because this one is full of stuff too. Just looking for our scraps. Yeah, let's use that. They can all be a little bit different. See, all these scraps to me is what adds to the fun of it, and it gives it that more, it gives it that complexity, you know, it makes it just more complex. Because you're using bits and pieces from all, you know, over the place, and then that really helps to, oops, go down a little further. That really helps to create the interest. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. So now we'll trim it up and we'll take a look at it. These are super easy to make. I love using these window envelopes. They make really great tuck spots for your art. And then it's like you're almost making a frame on in your journal for your art. Like you could actually make a neat jelly print. Like you could literally just make a jelly print, you know, that you'd slide down in here just to frame your art. Let me just try to make this a little straighter. Okay. And let's just get some extra glue down here on this. Okay. Alrighty. So that's one done. And that's going to go, let me make sure that I hold these pages down because they start curling until they're dry. Okay. Alrighty. So let's see, which way are we going to do this? Am I going to make, so the nice thing about these is it like just, if you make the direction of what you're putting down like not matter, then when you actually do a lot of these up, I do try to keep the direction of the writing going all different kinds of ways. So I can put it like this, I can put it like this. You could flip it this way if you wanted to. You could put it on this side and have it open here, open at the top. So that way when you're actually going to work on the book that we work on next month, when we started taking all these different mask making pieces and put them into a journal, like you'll have stacks of this stuff, and then you can kind of put it whichever way you want. Like this would actually work over there nicely too, see? Like, because you're just kind of mixing and matching colors and text, and I might even put that there like that. I think I like it. Can't decide. Now look, now I'm gonna spend time. Let me just make this straight while I'm trying to decide. So I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep it like this, like a frame. I'm gonna put it like right here. So we're gonna put this down so it'll create a pocket. Then I'm going to take one of my scripted pieces here, and I'm going to show you how we're going to feature that down in there. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Let me get some cardstock. So we have this cardstock here, and I'm going to just figure how wide I need it. So what I'm going to do, I'm taking my cardstock, and I'm literally, let me just move this out the way. I'm literally going to, you know, I measure by my eye. So I want it to be at least as wide as the window, right? But I want to leave myself enough room to glue. So the way I would do it is I'd just take my cardstock, I'd line it up against the window so I can see it from edge to edge. And then I'm roughly going to just create a distance that's about 1/4 of an inch on all 3 sides, or 4 sides, because, well, I can have it 3 sides because you want to have enough space to pull it out. You'll see what I mean. So it's 1/4 of an inch here, and if I look at this piece right there, it's 1/4 of an inch here. So if I bring that down, and then it's about 1/4 of an inch there. So my first measurement is going to be, let me get my pen. I'm going to have this so that it's larger, a pencil. I'm gonna cut it larger than the height of the pocket, and I'm gonna give myself a generous amount so that I can I have room to cut it down to where I want to cut it down to. So let's just line this up here, and let's do it like this first. I'm gonna line it up here, and I'm gonna get this width right here. So this will be my X-Acto. You guys will see what I'm doing. Just hang in there with me and I'll show you. So that's one dimension there. So I'm going to do the dimension across without a T. Oh boy. Like this. Okay. So that's basically going to be our card. So that's going to slide down inside of here nicely. And see, I have enough room. So right here, I have enough room on all three sides, about 1/4 inch, because that's where I'm going to be gluing carefully. And then this will give us a place where we're going to put our artwork, and then we're going to do maybe some kind of tab or some kind of little something, so it makes it easier for pulling it out. But in the meantime, let me just get this cleaned up because it's a little crooked. So let's straighten this up a bit. I think what I'm going to do is, that way when we put it down, it won't look so off square. Okay, so that's one. That's one there. So once you get one good straight edge, you can then clean it up more easily by lining it all up. Alrighty, this side's actually pretty good. And then this last edge here, just getting it a little more square. Okay, so now, now we have this. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue this down, because I want to make sure that my card is going to be good before I spend the time to make it. I'm going to be putting my artwork on there, so I want to make sure that, you know, it shows properly. So let's just run a bead of glue right here. Just a little bit right on the edge. I'm using the Fabri-Tac, but we could use any PVA. We could use the glitter glue, any white kind of hobby glue that you have. You could use that. This, the important thing is just to try to get like a really thin bead of glue, because we want to have as much of our pocket available as possible. So this is going to be a gallery frame. That's what we're going to call these. Because that's what I think of them as when I make them, so that I'm highlighting, you know, my art. So we're going to put this down like right about there. Okay, just a little off center. It's like, it's not like right dead in the middle. Okay, so perfect. So now that, so you can kind of see it. So that's looking good. So we have like this neat sort of glassine pocket ready to go. And then we're going to make sure that this piece goes down in there just fine. Okay, so it's a little, still a little wide. So let's just go ahead and trim it a little bit more, because we want it to slide in and out easily. We don't want to have to. So that's why you want to go ahead and, once you actually, you can make a ton of these pockets and don't even worry about it until it's time to actually put them in your journal. Then at that point you can worry about. Okay, so that's perfect. Okay, so while that's drying, we're going to go ahead and turn this into our gallery piece. So I'm going to take this piece here, and I want to flush it out with, let's just say, this piece of art. So I'm going to turn this into, like, you know, a finalized piece. So using my water brush, you guys have been around me for a while, you know I like to tear things by wetting it. That way you get this nice soft edge, and you can kind of control where it's tearing as well. See? So we have this nice piece here. So we're going to do that all the way around. We're going to do that across the top. And let's just do it down the side and across the bottom. And so we just kind of, once it wets and gets saturated, you literally can just kind of pull it away to get what you want. So that's good. So that's going to go on there like that. But we want to put some kind of background piece down. So let's see what I have. Here again, you can use anything that you have. Let me find something that will, I'm gonna go back in my scrap folder here. Want something like this would be good. This is just a bit of, this is just a jelly printed piece of calligraphy paper that, you know, that's going to be perfect. So let's glue that up. So in this case, I'm going to glue the card so we get that right. And then we can just lay it right down. So that's just a jelly printed background. We've been doing those. I know you guys have tons of those. For those of you who are jelly printers, if not, whatever else you're using, be it mark making, any kind of way you make a background, you can literally just also paint on some paper. Just kind of create prints by just using reduction, right? Which is taking another piece of paper, like crinkled paper or crinkled tissue paper, or you could use wax paper, foil, anything that has some kind of pattern to it, just about anything. And you can get some interesting backgrounds just by putting paint down and then pulling it off and removing it. Okay, so this is really good. I'm happy with that. So now let's go ahead and clean this up. How are we doing? We're doing good on time. I want to show you the full concept. So I guess we're not going to be too much mask making because I'm kind of doing a few things here. I'm working on the journal page, but I wanted to show you how to make the gallery frame. Then I want to show you what I put in it, which is what we're working on now, so that you can really have an appreciation for it. Then I'm going to show you how to turn the other part of that envelope into a flip that we'll use in the journal pages. So that gives you a couple of things to work on. So when you're done with your journal pages, or when you have your downtime, you can work on creating your other pieces for your work. So let's now let's look at this. Just want to make sure I get this in the center. We want to get this right. So when you put it in, okay. So I'm gonna pull this down some. So I think I'm gonna lose the bottom in order to. Okay. Let's take this and move it down so it's more like that. And you can play with it and just kind of keep on playing with it until you get it where you want it. Okay, I like that. So now the whole thing is in a frame, right? Okay, so that's where I'm going to put that. Come on back out now. Oh, come on. Well, you don't have to worry about your pocket. I normally try to keep a pair of tweezers in here just for this reason, when I have to get things out of tight spots. Hold up, let me get them. Okay, so we'll pull this out so we don't mess our page up. Alrighty, but we know it's on there good and tight, right? So let's go ahead and glue this. Oh my goodness, that stopped. I didn't even hear it stop, so I don't know exactly where it stopped. But anyhow, I was showing you guys how I won't know till I go edit, so I'm just going to go back. So we glued this down, and I was saying I just kind of flipped this up on the back. Now I could put some writing paper. We could put some like this on the back if you wanted to. You could decide you're just going to keep it plain, which is why I picked this gray stock, because it works with the pages, so it's not odd. On the one that we did the other day on Patreon, you can see where I actually did more collaging of all my bits and pieces on the front. On the back, I took one of these coffee stained things from a receipt book. You can get these at the dollar store. And then that can become a writing spot if you want, but it's still interesting. So if you don't write on it, it's not like it's a problem. But these are good for sort of like artist diary journals. Like I like the idea of the artist diary, where you're doing your art, but you're also maybe writing about your own journey or what have you. So yeah, so this will go down in there. That fits in there good. So in order to get this out easily, we need a tab. So the easiest way to make a tab is just, you can make one, but I'm going to take a file. I should have one right over here, a file folder. And one of the things that I do, let me show you, is I should have some up here. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll make I'll make a bunch of these tabs on some of my scraps. Those are from folders. I know I have some that would be, I might use this one though, because those will be perfect. I do them out of leather also. But this one is actually going to be perfect. So let's, because it's kind of a similar feel to, so we're going to put this in there, and then let's figure out which one of these we want to use. Oh, this one's good. Okay, so that's going to get pushed down in there. And then I'm going to, let me figure this out. So I am going to just go ahead and take a bit of this off now that I've figured out what I'm going to do. Let's just take it off to about right there for right now. Give myself a little bit more room here. Okay. So we left that extra until we figured out what we wanted to do. So here, the same thing. I'm going to take off some of this tab. It's a little bit too long for my needs, for this particular thing. So we're going to bring it up to, doesn't need to be very big, right? So, okay. So that's good. So then this can go right on there like that. So that'll be cool. I always like to keep on double checking. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and put some glue on there. I'm going to use some more of the Fabri-Tac again. You can use any, Just wanted to make sure I got a strong glue. So we'll put some here. I'll put some here. And I guess I'll just put it all in it. Why not? So it stays closed nicely. Okay. Taking this piece, let's go ahead and just get it on here. I'll kind of center it like that. And then what we're going to do is, that's on there nice and straight. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and just cut straight across, because I don't want these corners here. So I'm going to cut straight across to where the tab starts, and then we can just follow the actual tag that we made, the tab that we made, and do that. And then same thing here, we'll just go around, cut straight across. And then, so that I'll end up with these corners like that, because we've just got our little tab top, is I have these crocodiles, and it's the angles. So I'm going to use the small angle one just to get a bit of that off. Well, of course now I'm going to have to do it by hand, but this, so you just get this little, that little angle like that. So I'll just do the same thing for up the top. I'll just do like just a little snip. So it keeps us from having that little crazy angle for it to get stuck going in and out. And there we have our gallery frame. Look at that. Don't you love it? So now we have our gallery frame. So when we're doing when we actually work on our artist book, we can actually focus on doing different collages that can go on the window. So not only can you mass make the window, you can mass make some cards, just different sizes that you feel will fit in your window like we did. Even if you roughly do it, where you can collage, maybe you're focusing on a piece of jelly print or whatever, but you can have a number of these ready to go, and then you can just cut them down to whatever size you want. You can make some tabs. These are very easy to make. Really just, I should be able to show you this because we have some time. I'll just show you real quickly. And then we're going to work on the, I'll put this over here. And then we're going to work on making these flaps. So you'll know how to make these. And then you'll be off and running to just, in your downtime, make pieces and stuff that we can then use in our journals. So you can have at it. Okay, I'm just trying to straighten things up a bit here. Alrighty. So before we do this, let me show you how I make these. They really are easy. I'm just going to do it with a piece of paper so that you can, well, I can use, where's that gray I had? We can use a bit of this. So what you want to do is, you don't need a piece as wide as this one. This was a whole piece like that. So let's just make it, doesn't matter, just so you can see. So we'll take about this width. If you make them deeper, then I find if I make them a little deeper, or with whatever scraps I have, then like I did this time, I was able to cut it down. And if I needed a little longer, I have it. So it kind of gives you a little flexibility if you don't make them too tiny. So let's also now take our, I like to use my scoreboard. If you don't have a scoreboard, don't worry, just take it and fold it in half. So I'm going to use, so this is 2 inches wide. So I'm literally just scoring at 1 inch. You also could just, if you don't have a scoreboard, another way of doing it is laying it down on your mat. Find an inch. You know, you can lay it down at that inch mark, and then you can just take anything, a bone folder, anything that you have that has some kind of point to it, and then score it. So now we're going to fold that in half. Flatten it nicely. And then I'm going to take and I'll cut this right in half, so I'll have two approximately about that size. Okay. Then what I do, because I don't have any fancy tag cutters and all that stuff, I just take, this is a 5/8 of an inch hole punch that I think I got this. This is Reflections. I got this at Michael's for like $5, and then I use my 40% off coupon. But you can find these at the dollar store or anywhere. You just want like a 5/8 or a 1 inch, whatever. And literally what you do is I mark it, and I got to remember because every time I go to do it, like it flips my brain, but I'll show you. Hold up. Let me get it. So, yeah. Okay, so you want to put the edge that's folded down into the hole punch. And you see where I marked, I took and used a permanent marker. I marked right there, like a little notch there. And I marked right down here. See that sort of like those marks I made? Because what I did is I put it in one day and I just figured, okay, how deep do I want them to be? So at least each one is about the same. So you see where I put it in, and I match up this edge and I match up that little purple mark by bringing this down in there. So you can do a similar thing, and then that way you kind of get them the same every time. So we get that corner out, and then you flip it and you do the same thing. You just stick it down in there. Same thing, line it up till it's about the same. And then take that little chunk out. Okay, so then you end up with something that looks like that. Now actually in some of my field notes books and stuff, I've kept that because I kind of like that. I'll just take just a little bit of that point off because I kind of like it going up like that. It's kind of like, doesn't it look field notesy? It looks like something that you could have like in an old British little thingy or something, that extra bit, and then I'll leave it like that. For in other cases, I will, let's just do this one again so you can see. Hopefully you can see this clear enough. So you always put the folded end down, facing you. Now you can go down further if you want it deeper. You can do whatever. I just try to do it so that at least I'm doing it the same way every time, so that I don't end up with one that's awkward from the other. Like one is deeper and, you know, just odd looking. So that's how I do it. Okay. So, and you could also just take it and just round the whole thing off and just kind of make this sort of round it into the curve like that. So I just kind of take it, that bit off, and I sort of round it into the curve, and then you get this kind of traditional file folder kind of one. So literally you can do that with any of your scrap papers. A lot of times you can take and back, like how we've been taking and backing a book page, and then you can take and fold that if you need to make it thicker and use a lot of your scraps that way. But so that's how I make the tabs. So you can have at a mass making of your tabs as well. Okay, so we're gonna go and finish this right here, because we still have some work to do. So right here, what I would do is, I'm just take that bit off, and you could actually keep this as a pocket. If you did a good job of ripping it, unlike mine, you could literally just keep this as a pocket and collage it up and leave this as like that. We're going to make it a flap. So I'm just going to even it up. And we're going to make this as a fold out. Like, you could do these so many different ways. I'm only showing you just a couple of quick ways. But once you actually get to working with it, have at it. You can do these so many different ways. There's no one way. Because I do them all different kind of ways. It just depends on my mood. Or, you know, what I feel like I would want to have. So this is going to allow us to make it a flap. But see, this could be a side, we could do it as a side tuck too, you see? But we're going to make it a flap because I'm going to show you something that you can do if it's a flap. Okay, and this could be at the top, or it can be rid of that. On this side, we're just going to make sure that this is glued down. Because I'll just leave this on for extra reinforcement. The actual little glued piece. It just kind of gives us a little extra. You could tear it off too, but it's there. So this part will probably get, well, it can get glued down to the page or not. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and glue this up. So the first thing I would do is, oh, this is where I ripped it. Let me just go ahead and get this piece off, this edge off. So it's not like that little. So you could keep some of this, because I think some of this inside of here is like neat. So using this, we're going to go ahead and glue this down. So you can make them so that they are complete fold outs. You can make them so that this could be glued down to the back of your page. So some of them you might just want to decorate the front. Some of them you may want to do the whole thing. So we should have enough time for me to do the whole thing. But I'm just saying you can do variations so you don't feel like you have to. Because you're going to want them different ways. You're going to want, you know, to do different things with them. So that's there. So we'll cut that. So there we have that. So just using our papers. Let me just grab something else that I think will work. Let's use some of that. Well, that's nice. Okay, so we can go ahead and, oh, and I'm not going to put that in the inside. I'm going to put this on the back because I had just said that sometimes I like to leave that, this is going to be a little long of a video because I still have a few more minutes to do this, but hope you guys are okay with that. Let's go ahead and get these off. I like to use transparent or translucent papers. Sometimes I like that safety. You know, that safety design, I like that. So sometimes I'm not into covering it all up. I might cover bits and pieces of it up and then I try to leave some of it. Or at least leave it showing through so you can sort of see it even if it's not all there. Okay, so let's put this, we're going to put some of this on the back. Okay, so let's just go ahead and glue up this whole bit here. Because we're going to make this so that the whole thing could be a flap. And a lot of these will make sense. Some of you who are used to doing this, you'll immediately know what I'm talking about. Because some of it's standard, where you see how other people do. these kind of fold outs. But like I make these become actual parts of the pages in the book, of course, and you know, I want them to be used different ways. So some of them make where you're going to do this side, where you're going to have the backs covered and then some not, so that you could glue it straight down onto a page if you wanted to. Just gives you options. And then some of them, if you've actually didn't do the back, and then when it's time to use it in your journal, you're deciding based on the front, wow, I really would like this to be more of a flip, then at that point you can go ahead and complete the back. So far so good. This is what we have. Sometimes I like my edges a little torn, so then I'll just tear it off. See? It's looking good. Okay, so, and of course we could do more collaging and stuff on the back, but I'm not going to spend the time doing that because I want us to get finished. And I don't want to, you know. So like right here, see, I would put like this at the top so we can see some of that. See, we can see some of that through it. And yet, so we're going to put that down. So let me just rip this edge off, get rid of that. So that's going to end up going at the top. But before I put that down, I'm going to use a little bit of this in the body here. That way we'll see some of it we won't. I like that. And then there'll still be some on this side. So we figure it all out. So it needs to come up to about right there. So I'm gonna mark it. It's a little mark so I'll know where to put this. And then once again we're going to glue this up. The glue on this surface, it's just a little easier to control putting it down. And you know we can do as much or as little with these as we want. Just kind of want to get you started. And we'll be doing some more of these kind of sessions, so this won't be the only one. Let's make sure that it's in the fold so we're not. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Alrighty, so I know we got a lot going on today, but you guys, I know you can handle it. Plus, it's the beauty of video. You can always rewind it when you start working. But I really wanted to kind of play with this idea of getting you guys to think in terms of the journal or the artist book, which can be a diary of sorts. Okay, so here I'm going to trim this bottom. I'm always trimming my stuff up because I don't like, but I'd rather cut it like this so that we don't end up with like, you don't want to rip your work because it's wet. You know, we got a little bit of glue going on there, so it's best just to trim it up like that. This is looking good. And see, now you can see how you can use all different kind of papers. And then this will be our last bit we're going to do at the top. So here again, I'm just going to put the glue on this surface here. And I'm literally just laying that down. Oh, I love it, because now you can see, this is the onion skin with the printing on it, so you can still see, you know, that safety behind it. So you can use anything that you may have, some tracing paper. I mean, yeah, tracing paper. You know, our what also works nicely is tissue paper, like the dollar store tissue paper that we get, that we jelly print and stuff on. Oh my goodness, that works really well. So don't worry if you don't have the onion skin, because I know that's kind of hard to get your hands on these days. But the tissue paper is brilliant. It would look, I use that so much when I want a sort of this translucent type of background. So now I'm going to trim this up. So I'll cut a little bit of this off. Okay. And there we have it. So now we have this neat, I need to trim this up, this fold out. And one of the things we can do with this fold out eventually, I'll show you, is that we can also put a pamphlet style, some pages in here like pamphlet style that we'd actually would sew or staple in this area. So we have that. You can put this as a top, and it can flip out that way. And then this whole thing, I'll show you back in our journal. This whole thing could end up being a flip out page. So like here, if we want it, you know, like if it were shorter, or even if I decide I want to put it in a shorter book, because we'll decide on what the size of the book is, you can always just cut that piece off at this point. But you see how neat that is? And by us using some of the same papers, everything works together nicely. You get this neat little bit here in the back that works nicely with this over here, but it's more subtle. It's closed up like that. So, you know, this could actually be, well, if I wanted to make it a flip on this side, I would turn it this way. And then I got a few ways that I like to hinge that, and I don't really use washi tape because washi tape tears, but I use some fabrics and stuff, and I'll show you guys how I hinge stuff as we move along. And then that could become a hinge, and then it's like that, and then this is a hinge that way. And so we've just, like in this one envelope, we're making all kinds of things. It can be hinges, flips, it could be glued down, and if we didn't do the back, and you know, not be movable. The other thing that we can do is, I was just thinking, oh, if we've done all of this and we've decided, I really want this to be a pocket, no big deal. You just run some glue down here and you got a pocket. You could do it that way, or you could decide you want a side tuck. And you could use the hole punch and make a tab there. Or if we decide we want to be a pocket at the top, we could put it here. The tabs that we made, we can decide we want to put a tab on it, and then it's hanging out the side of our journal a little bit. You know, like we would cut this down to appropriate size. But then it could be a tab that's on the outside page. So we got options. So that's why I like to take, I love these envelopes, and Lord knows we all get these things. So grab them, just play with them. You can make the shorter pocket windows like this. So grab these out of your mail. The way we get stuff sent to us, I'm sure you got plenty, or plenty will come in this week if you've already thrown all the other ones away. And then just have fun making them. So we've made the flap. So out of the one envelope, we've gotten any number of ways that we could work with this. And we've gotten our gallery window so that we can actually put our artwork, feature our artwork down in these on our pages. And we can just, and you can have fun with, with collaging for it on your pages. And maybe play with some of these gallery wall pockets, or, you can continue working with some of the tucks. Just have at it. Just have fun with creating, or like in this case, I just created a collage page. Like it doesn't have any pockets or anything. And these are just collage pages. So you might want to do some of those this week. So keep on practicing that. And do your mask making. So there we have it. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please thumb it up if you did. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, and I will see you guys next week. Love you so much. Bye-bye.